You want to be sexier for yourself too, bud?
Come on, you already know, baby.
Boom! Okay, $20,000, cash card, credit check. How you want to pay? Crypto? Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Connector Podcast, where I sit down with my most interesting, fun, cool friends to entertain and educate you. Today's episode is a little bit wild because I'm probably wearing my craziest costume yet. But it's a fun one. Before we dive in, I do want to just ask from the bottom of my heart. I'm using a praying hands here, but you can't see it with the mic. If you enjoy this podcast, if you've been listening, if you're a first-time listener and you enjoy it at the end, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Spotify or Apple, maybe add it to a playlist, like it, favorite it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, leave a comment. These things really, really help the algorithms, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you'd be willing to do that. So, without further ado, today's guest, my friend, I'm joined by Mike Sadikian, aka Coach Mike.
That's why he's the GOAT!
Mike is a sales leader at OneCall Closers, overseeing more than 300 high-ticket closers and leading operations that hit 8 figures in monthly revenue while working alongside some legends in the entrepreneurial space. Beyond sales leadership, he has a deep background in real estate and mortgage loans, helping investors scale rental properties, or portfolios, I should say, and working with realtors to grow their businesses through better marketing and financing structures. He also hosts the Closers Network podcast and is someone that I am proud to call a personal friend. Without further ado, let's get to the podcast. But I will say, for everyone watching this right now, welcome back. Welcome back to the Connector Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about closing, okay? What does closing mean? What does closing look like? How do you become a remote high-ticket salesman? Yes, I'm wearing my shorts, and I want to tell you guys that even you can sell from Bali and Myanmar and whatever other tropical places you want to be. Today's guest is very special. You just saw the intro. Mike, say hi, brother.
Going on.
So, hey friends, quick interjection to the podcast because I have a sponsor for this episode. Me.
Bruh.
And the Connector Fight Club school community. I just wanted to quickly plug the fact that I created a school community to complement and supplement this podcast. So if you want extended lessons about different topics maybe my guests are subject matter experts on, if you want a community of like-minded entrepreneurs growing together, if you want giveaways, if you want tons of valuable content, if you want pre-written scripts and AI tools and different methods to communicate and network online effectively, to use all my years of knowledge and wisdom as an entrepreneur in so many different areas, and not just mine, but all of my friends that I'm calling in favors for, who are experts, who are millionaires, who are successful entrepreneurs across different fields. They're coming in, they're teaching awesome lessons. We're building an awesome, solid community. So get in there now. Links in the description. Go, please. Okay, thanks. I will not stay in character the whole time, but I will keep the outfit on. So I may take the glasses off though. It depends what Mike wants. I don't know. You're the boss.
I like it personally, you know.
And I got an energy drink. Got all my rings. We're ready. Actually, Mike, give me a sec. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, 15. No, you know what? If you act right now, 12.5. Okay. Sorry, buddy. Just had to close a deal quick. Anyways, I made $100,000 right there, and you guys can too. And today we'll bust down some myths of closing and talk about what it looks like to be a badass.
Speaking of $100,000, actually my best month in commissions was 99,000 and some change.
You're fired.
Does that piss you off though? Like, that's amazing, obviously, but did it piss you off?
I
that
talked
you were that
about
close?
it pissed me off a ton because like I wanted to have on the resume that I hit 100,000. I hit 6 figures in a month, but I was shy about $400 or $500. It did upset me.
I can imagine. Well,
So
anyways,
I can't say I hit 6 figures in commission in a month yet.
Not
But
yet.
I'm also not in a closing role, right? I'm more in sales management these days, so roles have changed a little bit.
Of course. And soon you're going to blow past the 6 figures and you're going to be like, was that a 7-figure month? Getting there. So dude,
Hey,
yeah,
from your mouth to God's ears, baby.
I like that expression. That's good, actually. Cool. So, so Mike, tell us a little bit about kind of your background. How'd you get into sales? What are you doing now? What are you focused on? Give the audience kind of like a frame of who you are and where you're at, and we'll kind of just go from there and have a fun chat, dude. And we'll just go bobsledding and laser tag, and we'll see what happens.
Let's do it. So I really got my sales career started off early. I was 18 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to do, had no sense of direction. I know I didn't want to go to school. I don't want to go to college. That wasn't necessarily, I went, spent a couple of weeks there and realized really quick, this isn't for me. And literally just stopped going to class. I didn't let the school know. I didn't let anybody know. What happened is, to be honest, is I had an accounting class and I missed one day. And that one day it made me feel like I missed weeks of like content that the teacher taught, and whatever the teacher was teaching after, I just didn't understand because that one day just missed so much, right? So it was an eye-opening experience, and I didn't want to be there to begin with. I realized like the environment's not for me and everything like that. So I quickly decided, okay, I'm not going back. And so at the time, I was faced with, okay, what the heck am I going to do? My dad had always harped on me, dude, you got to get into real estate. Like, I don't give a shit if you go to college or not. If you don't go to college, at the very minimum, get your real estate license. I said, okay. So I did that. I went actually back to a few just individual classes at community college, Glendale Community College, Little Armenia over there. And I
you see Little Armenia?
Yeah, it is Little Armenia. Half the population is Armenian. There's like 500,000 people and 250,000 are Armenians. Crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. So long story short, dude, I basically got into real estate. And for the first 3 years, I got really lucky because I had a builder identify me. And he was like, dude, you got a lot of potential and I want you to come work directly for me. So I started learning the game of off-market real estate deals from the builder because he was doing a lot of big construction in Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Toluca Lake, and like the expensive part of our valley areas here in Los Angeles. And it was an amazing journey. I started hitting things off and things were going really good. I started getting a lot of momentum. And right about 3 years in, basically what happened is I got dragged. My dad invested a little bit of money, just a little bit shy of $30K into this trucking company and with another partner, and basically said, I'm not going to run it. I want you to run it. And he kind of just forced me into that position, which I didn't really want to do, to be honest, but I ended up doing it. So what ended up happening is I grew and scaled that trucking company. It was two sides. We had two companies. It was a freight brokerage where we would just broker out loads and give loads to other truck drivers. And then we also had our own trucks where we would deliver the load. So whatever we couldn't take with our trucks, we'd basically broker out to other trucking companies. Scaled and grew that company to $2 million a year. But I'll be very honest, dude, it was a 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. gig because I'm on the West Coast and the day gets started at 8 a.m. on the East Coast. Like you have to be in the office at 4:30, 5 a.m. And right. It's chaos. Load this, deliver that, driver this, that. And I started wearing a lot of hats. I didn't know a lot about business, but I was in the fire and I was forced to learn. So like I was accounting, I was operations, I was sales, like I was all of it. I didn't realize, a lot of these gurus online weren't around at the time. Instagram was barely a thing, all that stuff was not around yet. So it was a different time and content was just becoming a thing, right? And in hindsight, I was like, I felt so, I ended up selling the trucks and just kind of like, closing down the company. But in hindsight, I was like, dude, you could have sold the freaking company with the assets, probably made a ton more money doing that. But hindsight's 2020. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I was naive, dude. And honestly, I just hated what I did. Like, again, my dad just kind of forced me into that position. I wanted out. And so during that time, I was like, okay, what do I want to do, right? And it was during that time I found a gentleman named Bedros Keuilian, who was the CEO and is the owner still of Fit Body Bootcamp franchise. It's an international fitness franchise. And as I shut down the trucking company, my income stopped. I was doing well. Like we grew that to, again, $2 million a year. And the net profit's not crazy on it. It's like 10, 15%, but it was something, right? And that being said is I was faced with a decision because I reached out to Bedros and I was like, hey, dude, like hate what I do. I want to get into business. I want to learn sales. And at this time, I was still thinking, like, do I go back into real estate and just do that? But to be honest, dude, like, real estate takes some time to like get momentum and build a business and work the leads. And it's not an overnight I'm making money type of a thing, as you guys probably know. It's longer sales cycles and it takes time. So it's a different thing. So I was like, I need something now, and I want mentorship. More important, like I want to be in an environment where I can learn and grow. So I hit up Bedros. I was like, hey man, this is me. This is what I'm looking to do. I would love the opportunity to be in proximity of you. If I have to move to Chino Hills, come down there. It was about an hour and a half away from where I lived at the time. And he was like, hey man, if you're serious, buy a ticket to this thing that I do every single year called the Fitness Business Summit. I was like, fitness business? What the freak is a fitness business? Like, what do I know about a fitness business? I'm 60 pounds overweight more than I am now. I was fat and I don't know a dang thing about fitness business, right? And I've got to go down to San Diego, drive 2.5 hours, spend $1,300 plus lodging and food, and it's $1,300 just for a ticket. Never have invested in myself at all in my life ever up until this point. Like, the one thing I've invested just a couple months before that was Tai Lopez's 67 Steps.
Knowledge.
That was the only dollar amount I've ever invested in myself in my life, $67 for knowledge. And that opened up my eyes a lot and showed me a lot of things. But really, the first major investment I had was that ticket to Fitness Business Summit. So I took a big risk. It was a 3-day event. Dude, I didn't even get to meet Bedros till the 3rd day. It was, and by the way, if you guys are interested to hear this story, guys, I host a podcast called the Closers Network Podcast. And my most recent, not my most recent, about the 2nd or 3rd to most recent guest I had was Bedros Keuilian. So he actually came down to the Closers Network podcast studio. We did a podcast talking about my entire journey. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go hear the more rest of it there and how all that went down. But basically, dude, I didn't get to meet Bedros till the 3rd day because he was just so inundated with people walking up to him and asking him questions and wanting to take photos and use up his time. And I was like, dude, this isn't the opportunity for me to have a one-on-one because there's a line of people. Like, I don't want to be in the line and have someone behind me. Like, I want to have a personal conversation. And the time the 3rd day came, things had slowed down and everybody, took their pictures, asked their questions, all of it. And he was standing alone. And I was like, this is my moment. So I literally walked up to him, shook his hand. I was like, hey, Bedros. And this guy is, by the way, he's the Tony Robbins of the fitness industry. He's very known. He's very huge on that end. He's helped a ton of entrepreneurs scale and grow their businesses, make millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars. Anyway, got to meet him. One thing led to another. It's kind of an initial interview. Basically told me, like, he'd teach me everything. He'd get me dialed in, but I would have to commit, 5 years to him because he doesn't want people just coming, learning, and leaving type of a thing. And he needs a 5-year commitment. I said, I'm in, dude. I'm 25 at the time. Looking a lot to look forward to. So I was like, oh man, what do I got to do next? And then from there, he basically walks me over to the sales booth, introduces me to the sales manager, Richard Mujica at the time. And also there was Trish Chan there, a few of the people I work with now at OneCall Closers, and got another interview at headquarters and another interview. It was like a 3-4 step process. It was intense. I got the gig. And so I was faced with a decision. And by the way, I'm getting married. This is happening all in March. I'm getting married in May. I got a honeymoon already set. And I have to now move an hour and a half from everybody and everything that I know. My income completely stopped because I'm not running a trucking company anymore. And I'm getting married all at the same time. So there's a lot going on, Now I have to commit to an apartment for a year because I'm moving an hour and a half away. So I have to, I don't know how this job's I don't know what it's like working for Bedros. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I got to make a year commitment to this apartment. So I did all of that and went to the honeymoon, came back, got started. And as soon as I start, the first thing Bedros tells me, he's like, hey, dude, I'm not going to start you off in sales. I got to put you in marketing. And in my head, all I'm thinking is, dude, I need to make money. I didn't come here to become a marketer and make, $5,000-$6,000 a month base. I came here to make 6 figures plus in commissions. Yeah. And so I asked him on my podcast, why he did that. And he kind of broke that down. But long story short, he wanted me to get an understanding of how things work and getting an insight from what it's like on the marketing end, because that's going to help me on the sales end. And it sure did. And so about 2 months in, he basically said, I'm ready for sales. So I transitioned into sales. I sucked at it. I was horrible. I thought I was, good. Everyone thinks they're good until they're not. And basically, I had to humble myself, learn a lot, had a few come to Jesus moments with the sales director, sales managers. And it was like, I need to get my act together and close some deals or I'm out of here. And I was like, dude, I just sacrificed everything for this, And so I can't not make this work. And so I was faced with some moments and realized like I wasn't giving my all, dude. Like I was half-assing things. When I was off of work, I was just Netflix and chilling and just enjoying my time as opposed to like bettering myself and understanding what is the one thing I can do right now that's going to help me tomorrow close another deal. So when I did have a come to Jesus moment, the major one I had was with sales director Ken Lynch. In fact, he's coming on the podcast soon.
Nice.
And basically he was like, hey, dude, like, I got to be honest with you. Like, if we don't get some deals and get a deal closed here, like, I got to let you go. Like, you got a month. I was like, oh, shit. Okay, like, it's serious. And that's when that accountability really hit me. And I realized, okay, this is here today, gone tomorrow type of a thing. And I got my act together, man. And I started focusing on all the things that are going to help me get to that outcome. I started reviewing all the sales calls that the guys who were closing deals had. I started reading books that I never read. I started listening to audiobooks, podcasts around sales specifically. I started really bettering myself. And just within about a month after that, dude, I broke a freaking record at the franchise. Never had been done before. I closed my first deal and it was a 5-unit franchise. So I got commission off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the franchise locations. It was massive. Never been done before. And so I broke a company record, eventually went off to be the #1 sales guy. And eventually went on to be a sales manager as well. And then eventually went on to be a sales director right before COVID hit. So a lot went down. And when COVID hit, basically, lead flow dropped overnight. Nobody was looking to open up a gym anywhere in the United States, let alone California. And so I closed some deals during that time, wrote out some incentives we had. It was cool, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I just felt purposeless. Because it was just like, I need something to do, man. It's like, there's not enough leads, there's not enough activity, and it's just a bad time. And so a few months prior to that happening, my good friend and brother today, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, had left OneCall Closers as a sales manager to open up his own fit body boot camp. Dude, he was selling fit bodies left and right. He's like, dude, I got to open one of these. He was so bought into what he was doing. He decided, I'm going to go open up a fit body boot camp, right? So he spent everything he had, like $100K in savings, plus he got a business loan for like $150K, $250,000, dropped it in there, opened the location, and just a few months after, boom, COVID hits, he gets wiped out. So basically out of necessity, Richard has to pivot. And the pivot was reaching out through his mutual contacts through Bedros of like, okay, who can I sell something for? And so he found the first client at OneCall Closers, still a client today, Robbie Blanchard, affiliate marketer, #1 affiliate marketer on ClickBank in the world. And he said, cool. Robbie, I'm in a desperate situation, man. Like, I need to make some money. I got, a couple kids. I got another one coming, X, Y, and Z. And basically what ended up happening, Robbie was like, dude, I'm in desperate need of a good salesman. So Richard went in, slammed a lot of deals, made $30,000 his first month. And then basically asked Robbie, can I take this over for you? Can I just build a company and manage your entire sales team? And he was like, dude, I would love if you did that. I want nothing to do with managing sales. Most people don't. And so that's when OneCall Closers was really birthed. And that's when it came together. And so, Richard had been calling me because him and I were tight, dude. And there was like just great times we had at the franchise together. And he kept calling me every week, Mike, you got to come down, bro. I just got Robbie. We're doing this. We're doing that. But dude, I was getting a nice fat base at FitBody. Plus I doubled the commissions during COVID. So like when COVID went away, I would have made double the money I was making at the franchise. But ultimately, dude, I was depressed because I was like, I don't know how long this thing is going to take. And what I was hearing, and it turned out to be true, was this whole thing's going to last 2 years. And it did. And that was just what I was hearing from listening to different influencers, podcasts, just people that I thought were reasonable. And I was like, okay, this isn't like a 2-3 month problem or a 6-month problem. This is going to be a multiple year problem. So I didn't have the confidence to leave though, because I was like, dude, Richard didn't necessarily offer me a base and it was a straight commission and I didn't know what things were going to look like, a new company, right? All this stuff. But what ended up happening is a few months after I still was at FitBody. I was writing it out, trying to figure it out. Freaking Richard landed Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi as a client. Second client ever
Solid.
at OneCall Closers, right? Like out of nowhere. Like, how does that happen? And so that gave me the confidence to be like, you know what, dude? Okay, let's do it. So I put in my 2-week notice. I trained up somebody at FitBody. I wanted to make sure I left with Bedros on the best possible terms and the best possible way I could, and I did. And I think that's why there's a huge level of mutual respect. He doesn't just go on a lot of people's random podcasts. For him to come down and drive, an hour and a half each way to do a podcast for me is a huge deal for me. It meant a lot, and I really appreciated it. So I think it's because,
like a milestone too for you.
Yeah, 100%. Biggest guest I had in the studio. I mean, I've had some pretty big guests, but like that was cool. And that was it, man. And then from there, I've been doing real estate. You mentioned loans and real estate. I've been doing that part-time for 13 years. Never really made it a full-time business. But at the same time, it's like, hey, man, if I have a family member, a friend, a loved one, a referral that I've done business with in the past that wants to do a mortgage loan with me, wants to do a real estate transaction, like, why would I turn that down? And so I've been doing a few deals here and there a year, just doing that. So it's kind of more of like a side thing, and, helps out a ton with, cover a ton of different financial cracks, making an extra 50 to 100K a year, just otherwise that I wouldn't have, right? So that's cool. And so that's where I'm at today, dude, is my main kind of time is being focused on helping find influencers and scale and manage teams at OneCall Closers. And again, I do the real estate part-time and the loans part-time because those are just involved in the same process where it doesn't take a whole lot of work. It's what I would do anyway, right? So it just makes sense to do that. And that's where I'm at today, man. So that's a little bit about my story. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got half of that. Can you say it all again? No, I'm kidding. No. No, dude, I love it, man. Thank you for sharing. And, one of the things that stood out the most to me was hey, give me 5 years of your time. And it's like, how important is that, for especially a young guy getting into closing market, whatever the thing is, to not just jump around, and for Bedros to kind of know that too. Like, hey, and he probably, everybody go listen to the podcast on Mike's channel as well with Bedros. But like, he probably also knew, like, this is a young dude. He needs a path for a set period of time and enough time to build a skill set, gain the confidence. And it's like, me now being 30, I know you're like a little bit older than me. We know even that, us in our 20s, like, yeah, you need that set period of time to commit to something. How important do you think it is to have not just a path forward, but ultimately to actually have a mentor and a guide in that path? Because, I was teaching a lesson on my school community yesterday about, about communication, and how you can't necessarily learn and grow alone in this kind of role. Because so I like this analogy. I'll tell you this, and then I want to hear your thoughts on this. If I was, imagine I'm your sensei, and not in sales like I'm currently dressed, but I'm your karate sensei. Mr. Palassis is my name, Palassis.
Bobby.
Bobby. I know exactly which podcast we're talking about. Yeah.
I'm your son.
Okay.
Hey, Dan.
Bobby.
No, you don't have to.
So if I said, Mike, I want you to practice your punches. Those like wooden beams that are meant for punching and like strengthening your knuckles. And I'm your sensei, right? I walk up and I say, I teach you how to punch. And I say, give me 5 punches total. I'm going to go water a plant and I'll come back because I'm a sensei and I have plants. So I come back in 5 minutes and you're like bloody knuckles, thumb is like hanging out and you're like crying. And I'm like, oh, Mike, what have you done? Okay, I'm gonna stop with the accent, but no, it's okay, whatever. And I'm like, Mike, what's going on? And you're like, I was practicing the punches you told me to practice. And I said, I told you to practice 5 at like medium power. There's no way you're this beat up after 5 punches. And then you tell me, no, but Sensei Josh, I did 100 punches because I wanted to show you I could get better. And I was like, that's not the point. I knew you weren't going to do it really well the first few reps, so I wanted you to get a feel for the board, and then I was going to help you assess your form. And it turns out you're punching with your thumb inside your fist, and you're doing one of these, and now you broke your wrist and you dislocated your thumb. And so my point is, when you're early in the journey, especially in sales or in anything, do a couple reps, get assessed by a sales coach, a mentor, a guide, because then they're going to help you tweak those corrections. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing, but make sure to straighten the wrist. Do a few more reps. Okay, hey, your thumb's in a weird place. Hey, you're hitting with your pinky knuckle first. Try to hit with the first two. And after your sensei adjusts you a handful of times, now you can keep doing more and more reps and build up that skill set from a healthy place initially. Whereas you dislocated your thumb and bloodied your knuckles because you didn't listen to me and you didn't have a guide to help you step by step. So I like that analogy because it's like tangible, it's physical, and I've also done martial arts, so I get it. So tell me how important it is to have that guide, especially early in your journey, especially as a young dude or a young gal, and you're getting started in marketing, sales, these kind of roles.
I think it's vital, dude. I think probably 1% of the 1% don't need that. But I think for 99.9% of every individual out there, I think that's a necessity, because it's extremely hard for you to get into this space and just kind of figure things out on your own, right? If you could have that insight, that 30,000-foot view from people that have been there and done that over and over again, it's like, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel, right? And I'm very big. I wanted to wear the sweater today on alignment. You know, I'm huge on alignment. So you want to understand, like, what do I got to do to be the best version of myself, and what's going to get me aligned with that version, right? And the people that have been there and done that, they already know that. And dude, everyone thinks they're good. Like, I've at this point managed thousands of closers between multiple offers over the course of the years, right? Multiple different things. And it is literally maybe less than the 1% of the 1% that like come in and everything just clicks. And I just haven't seen that. Maybe there's a handful of people on one hand I can count, right? Again, out of thousands. I think it's necessary, because I think no matter where you're at, like no matter what you decide to get into, whether it's sales, whether it's a trades job, whether it's the medical field, like there is going to be a learning curve. You're not just going to get in there and it's miraculously like, hey, I know everything and I'm great at everything. You got to get your feet in the fire, right? And you got to get an understanding of yourself. And then also different people have, you know, different personalities, different ways that they receive information and implement information. And so everybody is different. So I think having that person, a Mr. Miyagi type person next to you, is just vital, dude. I don't think I could have done it without it. You know, and as good as I think I am in my head, as confident as I think I am in my head, I think I couldn't have done it if I wasn't in the environment and in proximity of the people I was in. Now, these days, it's a lot more virtual, and we recreate as much of that in-person fire and as we could in a virtual environment. It's hard because it's not the same. Like doing this podcast, I'm sure the energy would be a lot different in person versus, and it's still great, don't get me wrong, but it's like
it'd be a lot of nervous energy because these shorts I'm wearing are a little too short.
Yeah, but no, to answer your question, dude, I think it's necessary. Yeah, I just haven't seen anyone really, you know, progress forward really without it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mr. Miyagi. I love that analogy because I always say that too. I remember actually saying that to myself years ago before I had my first real mentor. I actually would say, like, I need my Mr. Miyagi. Like, hello? I know, like, I have what it takes. If I had a guy that was like, you know, show up to my house every day. I don't know why I keep going back to this Japanese accent. Mr. Miyagi's not even Japanese, or is he? Yeah, he is Japanese. Yeah. I show up to my house every day, 5 a.m. I train you. Dude, I would have shown up. I would have been like, thank you, finally. I have, you know, in anything. Even if I had, there was a point in my life where I was like, if I had that kind of person and he said, we're going to do MMA, we're going to do business, we're going to do whatever the path was, I'm like, I just need a guide. I feel like a freaking machine gun with no target and I'm ready to fire, especially as a young dude, right? We need like purpose and mission and direction.
I had that young too, you know, between the ages of 7 and 12, I did go to judo and jujitsu with, actually, you might know, have you ever heard of Judo 𝗵𝗵𝗏?
No, I don't think so.
He's really famous. But him and a gentleman named 𝗏𝗏 he's super famous and known. He's the guy who, you know, brought up like Ronda Rousey, Karo Parisyan, Manny Gambarian, some of these Armenian cats, but also like Ronda was a big part of that camp. Hayastan is the name of the martial arts studio in LA. There's a few locations, but Judo 𝗵𝗏𝗏 is just, I mean, he just passed away a couple years ago, but he's probably one of the most prominent figures in martial arts. It'd be cool if you check him out after. But him and Gokor owned a martial arts studio where they taught judo. My main practice was judo, but why I brought that up is because I had that instilled in me even from then. I wish I continued, and I hated it when I was going to it. Like my parents almost forced me to go. I hated like going, but like in hindsight, I was like, dude, it was some of the best times I ever had. And like, I wish I stayed. And it's like, I don't know why I got out, and I don't know why my parents listened to me too, you know? So
there was a couple things when I was young too, where I was like, yeah, I wish my parents would have pushed more on that, but I'm also glad they like let me choose other paths. It is what it is. I get it too. I did martial arts for years as a kid, and I think it's so necessary. Like, you know, God willing, I have a son or a daughter one day, or both. I definitely think for either, I'd want them to have at least a certain competence in martial arts, at least maybe get their black belt initially, and whether they want to continue, that's whatever. Actually, you know what? I'd probably put them in Muay Thai. If I had to choose one thing right now, I'd probably do Muay Thai first, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu second. That would be for like real world practical, you know, being able to like control and manipulate the body, actually be able to fight. And I don't know any other pure martial arts that are as useful, unless there's like an MMA class. I'd have to see, because some of those are BS.
Judo's definitely. Yeah, I've gotten in a lot of fights in middle school and high school for whatever reason. I'm never the fight starter, but you know, I've had people try to bully on me, and I've had multiple fights. Dude, I've had countless fights, and we've even had like group rumbles in high school and stuff like that. But one time I was in high school, and some of the kids I went to middle school with like set up a fight with the guy that I used to fight a lot in middle school. And dude, I pulled up, and there was like hundreds of kids all in a circle, like waiting for me to. I have no idea what's going on. These guys are like, "Hey, you know, follow us. We're going to take you somewhere." And I got put on the spot of, you know, hundreds of kids watching me. And I'm like, oh shit, like I'm here to fight. And I was like, I can't back down. I can't be a little bitch, you know? And so the kid who I was fighting, I hated, and he hated me. And dude, if I didn't know judo, and I think judo is very practical, because although it's not like, hey, you know, we're going to throw down, I didn't need to know how to throw down, because within 10 seconds, I took him down and I choked him out. And he had no idea what to do, because he had never experienced anything like that, right? And so when I basically like choked him out, anyway, it was everything was happening fast. The recess bell rang, like everyone scattered and ran. Eventually they came and found me from my class. I went to the dean's. It was a whole thing. I didn't get into a lot of trouble for it, luckily, because the dean liked me and he knew I wasn't like the one who set it up. But like that came through. It was that if I didn't know, in multiple situations, like just throwing people down and being able to choke out, they don't know how to react to that, because everyone thinks like you're going to fight. So it's a pattern interrupt, right? Is what I'm trying to say.
Right. You know, somewhere in the middle of that story, I was almost expecting you to say everyone broke out in song and dance, and then like it sounded like you were setting up a musical, but I guess it was a real fight. But that's fair. Speaking of pattern interrupts, by the way, I don't know if you've ever seen this. I forget what the dude's name is. I'm sure there's a few of them now, but a few years back, there was a guy, he was a mentalist, and he was talking about how to really...
Perlman?
No, I think it was before that guy, before he was really popular. I'm thinking like 10 years ago I saw this video. And he was like, if you ever want to get out of a sticky situation, especially when it comes to a fight, like, I forget how he worded it, but essentially say with absolute confidence right to the face of your aggressor the most obscure, nonsensical, like, banana umbrellas eat tinkle taper, you know, teepers, or like, I don't know, something, but say it so confidently and be like, my energy drink ran a marathon yesterday to tomorrow. It's like, and then they'll be so... And he said he's tried this a few times, where the guy that wanted to fight just broke down in tears because it was like a pattern interrupt that like caused his adrenaline to flush and to do. He was explaining like kind of the psychology behind it, and just like it was like an emotional wave because he like messed up the guy's like neurology or something. And it was like, I've never had the chance to try this, but
interesting. Throw him off.
Yeah, just take off your
felt
pants.
Bad for the guy all of a sudden.
If anything, take off, pull down your pants and run at him yelling gibberish, and then see what happens.
Funny.
That's not.
Dude.
It's not a recommendation. Don't do. Oh, what's? 1 second, Mike.
No problem.
Yeah. What's going on? Make it 100. Sold. All right.
Another
Sorry.
one?
We might have to interrupt a few times.
Morning.
I know, dude. I'm sorry. I told them I'm recording. I told them I'm recording. Not now. Now's not the time on the podcast, but they don't listen. They just need me to close. Speaking of which, I feel like this is the start of a new character maybe I should do for Instagram. But that being said, maybe we can dive into this a little bit, Mike, because I want to...
Should do that because check this out. I was talking about Bedros earlier. This is his character, Vlad.
Does he actually have like a character he does?
Oh, it's a Russian. Yeah, he acts like a Russian mobster kind of a guy.
I wonder what should I be? Am I Greek or Italian? What am I? Am I maybe like Julia? Like who am I? Giuliano? I'm like a Johnny Supreme. Maybe is that a guy already? Johnny Supreme? Maybe not.
I don't think so. It says to be a winner, you must first look like a winner. You're welcome, Vlad.
I love that. So I'm thinking I got to figure out what accent goes with this. I don't know. Whatever. We'll brainstorm. But I'm thinking, why don't we do here? I have an idea for us to lead into something fun here. Let's talk for a second. I want your thoughts just on this kind of modern culture of these online cold callers. Like, have you seen that guy who literally will call people and the person answers and he's like, "Fuck you." He'd be like, "Are you the owner? Give me the owner." He's like, "Why are you wasting my time, bitch?" Like, there's a guy that does that, and he's trying to teach people how to do pattern interrupt sales. I'm like,
How can I help you?
Shut the fuck up. Are you the owner?
Excuse me?
Are you the owner?
Why did you tell me to shut the fuck up?
I want the owner. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about.
Who is this? I am the owner.
You sound like a bitch is what you sound like.
that's not pattern interrupt. That's just aggressive, like, rudeness. So first of all, I want your thoughts on some of these maybe like crazy modern, you know, cold caller closers. And then I think it'd be fun if we actually did like a objection. I know you got a big call after this too, so maybe I'll help you warm up a little bit, right? We can do some objection handling, but like the wrong way and the right way. So maybe we'll pose a question like, my wife, I need to ask my wife, let me give the bad answer as this guy, and then you can come in and maybe help me with a good answer. Is that fair?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So first of all, have you seen some of these like modern cold call closers doing their crazy scripts, and have you seen any of this stuff lately?
I might have come across like one or two, but I think it's just all for the content. I don't know if they're really cold callers. I don't know. I think they're just trying to produce content, get some clicks type of a thing.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's
too,
not
right?
gonna,
Like,
if you're the way you just broke it down, I'm like, that's not who's gonna work with you. Who's gonna give you business?
Yeah, there's another guy too. I'll put a couple clips up here in between us talking of those guys, so the audience knows kind of what we're talking about. But there's another guy. It's like 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗶 or something like that. Something like that. Maybe he'll appreciate the call out. But I don't I appreciate what he's doing if these are real calls, but I don't like the approach because he'll just be like, "Hi, John." And they'll be like, and every single time, for some reason, they're aggressive. Who's calling right now? Like, they answer like that. And he's like, yeah, this is, and he says his full name, or this is 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗶 calling. I just want to make sure because you sent in an inquiry about your insurance. Did you get that coverage, set? But it's clear from everyone's answers because they're all aggressive. He's making that up. Nobody submitted anything. It's part of the pitch, but it's not actually an inbound lead, clearly, because the people are always aggressive. So, and then he ends, and essentially I've never seen him make a sale. Maybe he does make sales, I don't know, but the people are always like, go F yourself, get out of here, never call me again. I told you people, stop calling me. Like, that's the responses he's getting. And I assume this is like B2C, just everyday people.
Tell me, are we still what? Hey. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Adam.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hey, Adam, this is 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗶. I was reaching out. Did you end up getting the life insurance in place?
Listen, I'm not Adam, and delete this number from your file because this is not Adam, and this is nobody that you're going to sell any insurance to. And I would ask you to not call this fucking number again, man.
No.
People keep on calling me. People keep on calling me, and you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on just cold calling in general right now for B2C in like 2026? Is it dead?
I don't think it's dead. I think with some of the new compliance with phone calls are done and some of the regulations that are changing, it's become a lot more difficult. Like this, I've cold called for 2 years in real estate. You look, you got to do what you got to do. Absolutely freaking hated cold calling. I would do it like 3-4 hours a day, and I hated it, but I had to like program
Same.
my mind to love it, right? Because I was trying to get a result, and I got deals out of that and everything. So it works if you put it to work, you know. If you have the budget and you can think, you know, I would prefer to buy leads or work leads and have something a little bit warmer. But I think everyone should have the experience. If you're going to be in sales, like I think it's not necessary, but it'd be cool if you had a little bit of that outbound experience, because when you do get into an inbound role, dude, you're going to appreciate it. You're going to like just, oh my God, like I'm getting leads. These people are warm. They know what they want, you know, or they're interested in this thing. I'm not just calling a stranger who's telling me always to go fuck myself, right? So, but I think those skill sets in cold calling taught me a lot, you know, and I think it's important. But like as of today, from what I understand, it's a lot harder. For example, like, you know, when I updated my iPhone with the most recent update, they have this new amazing call screening feature. I get a ton of cold calls, and sometimes I entertain them just because I'm in sales, but like I hate getting them myself, dude. I'll be honest. I cannot stand getting a cold call. So I put this new screening feature that I don't even get the call because it says, hey, identify who the fuck you are before this person decides whether or not they're going to accept your call. And so it's like, if it's a legitimate call, it says, oh, hey, this person's calling for whatever the heck they said they're calling for. If it's a cold call, they usually just hang up, and I'm like, hallelujah. Like, I don't have to deal with this anymore. So the amount of cold calls I receive has dropped significantly, and to get in touch with someone like me has become harder. So I think it's only going to become harder. And my understanding is there's this new thing coming out. I forgot what it's called. It's called, I'll tell you right now, data. So it's a government, it's on the official website of California. So this is only for Californians, but basically you can go on like data.com. It's and opt out of cold calling. So basically sometime around August, anyone who opts in this in California, like they cannot get a cold call, or like it's going to be huge trouble for them. So it's going to become harder. To answer your question, cold calling is going to become harder. I think it's always going to be a thing, no matter what. At least in the next 20, 30 years, I foresee it still being a thing. But I just don't think it's become less. It's going to become less and less effective and harder. But I think anyone who's out there putting in the grind, putting in the hours, is still going to get results from it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much all my cold calls are, hello, sir. I'm wondering if you want to talk about cryptocurrency today. I have called you because your email is on. And I'm like, thankfully, I answer none of them. But then I always miss my doctor calling, or I always miss other people.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't have their caller ID set up. It's the same. It's a pet peeve of mine. Set up your caller ID if you're a business, and set up your damn POS system. I hate seeing transactions in my bank account, and it's like T5CCC Vancouver P2T2T2 $63. I'm like, what was that? What did I spend 60? But it was like McDonald's. Like set up the name on your POS system, so I don't have to wonder when I'm doing my taxes. So yeah, that's feature on the iPhone is legit though. I'm actually very happy about it. And you know, I did cold calling for an SDR job. It was a SaaS company. By the way, to back up a second, when I said B2C earlier, for anybody who doesn't know, that's business to consumer. So in other words, like a gym selling memberships to regular everyday people, that's B2C. But Alex Hormozi selling his gym launch, product and service, sales system, thank you, to other gym owners, that's B2B, that's business to business. So, now I threw myself off. What was I going to ask you? Cold calling. Oh, SDR job. I was going to say, so I was a SaaS company. So it was like a software for realtors to help them build up a local community kind of website. And then they could bring in other service providers and have kind of a cool thing. And so I started off by having to cold call realtors. And that was pretty much the whole job all day. It was very annoying. I hated it. And very quickly, they actually, I don't know, maybe they're just getting bad reviews or something, but they switched us over to being full social media outreach. So at the time, there was less limits on Instagram, LinkedIn, and everything else. So I think I managed 12 LinkedIn accounts, sending 75 connection requests per day per account. And then I think I ran 3 Instagrams, sending like 50, messages and follows a day on each. And then also I think 2 Facebooks, and also texted like 100 people a day. So it went from doing this to doing a high volume of this, but the lead flow is more consistent. People typically, they had a minute to kind of think about their decision before committing. So I think we got a better show rate overall, because sometimes on a cold call, people just say yes to get you off the phone, but then they don't show up. So it was an interesting transition into the virtual side of things. But I do find, and I wonder if you find the same thing, if I'm face to face with you or I'm on the phone, I have a higher conversion rate of at least getting them booked. If I'm doing things online, I have to do more volume to get the same number, but it's less intrusive, quote unquote. Do you find the same?
Yeah. Say that again. I just want to make sure I understand you correctly.
Yeah. So essentially, if I'm networking like in person or even calling somebody, I can get more yeses in fewer overall people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, in person, so I'll give you an example of something I experienced just this week, right?
Yeah.
I do a lot of outbound for OneCall Closers agency to identify brands and influencers that are massive and big that we can help scale their sales teams. And I send out a lot of messages. A lot of people see my messages. I get on calls, like the one I have after here, all of that. But this last week, we were at a fitness expo in Los Angeles, the Fitness Expo. It's the biggest one, I think, in all of the U.S. And there was a lot of, famous people there, big names, big influencers, brand and stuff. And we help a lot of people in the fitness-based scale their sales. And it was a whole different energy, like for these people to see who we are and get a vibe, right? Get an understanding of our energy, of like how we're showing up, versus I'm just DMing some person online. So dude, there's definitely like magic that happens in person that is hard to reciprocate in a virtual setting.
Yeah. And you also, even with your podcast, I know you've done in-person episodes like with Bedros. You've done virtual episodes like with me. I was on your podcast recently. Thanks, by the way.
Yep.
And,
that's right. That's right.
And so, tell me the difference, because this is something I want to evolve into myself, right? Right now, I'm in my little room here in Canada, and you're across the continent. But, as my income and my freedom and all these things scale, I would like to, whether or not I move somewhere closer to the folks I want to be guests, or I just take this on the road and I go rent out a podcast studio in each city that, my guest is in. I eventually want to take it to be more in person, because you're right, there is a difference. Do you find, especially with podcasting, there's like a notable difference in the energy in the conversations?
I think so. I've had really good virtual podcasts for sure. But I think when you have that someone in person, the synergy is a little bit different. Conversation maybe could go a little bit different. Not to say like you can't have phenomenal and great conversations virtually. You sure can. But there's just a little bit of an edge of that in person. There's just a little bit of that spark, a little bit of that energy, that understanding of human to human element that's harder to recreate in virtual for sure.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of virtual,
it's time.
So let's do this. Why don't you throw out the first objection and let me answer it terribly as an aggressive, I don't really care about the prospect, I just want to make money sales guy. And then I'll throw the same objection back at you, and you can, you don't have to give me a super detailed answer, because obviously we're just making this up on the spot, but some kind of nice generic way of handling the key objections. Let's say, what are they? I got to talk to my wife. Let me think about it. Why can't
it's only like 3 to 5, no matter what you're selling, dude. It's the same
I was going to say, what
right?
other objections?
I need to think about it. I need to, talk to my spouse. I can't afford it.
I can't afford.
What does that really mean? So, no one ever tells you like, no, I'm not interested. Thanks for your time. That's not what happens at the end of calls. For whatever reason, you would think like if someone's just not interested, they would say no. But everyone seems to be on the fence. It's because everyone wants to freaking do it. They're just scared, 90% what I found in closing tons of deals and having helped others close tons and tons of deals is when it comes down to making a decision, it's usually the price and the sticker shock that's associated with hesitation all of a sudden, belief in themselves, right? So we have to identify, does this person even want to do this? Are they aligned? Like, are they a fit? Do they really want to do it, or just telling you they want to do it? So there's 3 phases of the call I want to break down. There is the discovery phase. There's the introduction, there's the discovery phase, and then there's the close, right? Just to keep it super simple. There's a lot more involved in all of that, but just for simple purposes. So in the introduction, right, your goal is to not be a typical salesman, to build rapport real quick, to get into and identify what the heck the issues are. But more importantly, the entire goal of the call, of the intro piece, is you want that person to just get a sense of, oh, I like this person. I like this guy or gal. So your whole phase 1 is, let me just get this person to just like me and feel good about me, okay? Once we're past that stage, we enter, and that's really short, by the way, 5 minutes or less. You don't want to spend a ton of time in discovery. You don't want to do all of the typical stuff that any sale, like, you don't want to do none of that stuff.
Quick interjection. If you can't get someone to like you in 5 minutes or less, then you definitely need a mentor or coach to help you kind of sort out some of your personal stuff, because there's
no doubt about it.
It's kind of innate, right?
It's
your
to work on.
energy. It's right. Exactly.
Yep. You're probably nervous. You've probably never been on it. There's so many things that are happening, especially if you're new. That's the shortest phase, 5 minutes or less. You don't want to spend 3 to 5 minutes in intro. You want to just get into it. Like, you're like a doctor. Like, I want to identify, like, why you're in my office right now. What are you experiencing? Can I help you or not? And that's what leads into the second phase of the call, which is discovery, which is your longest phase of the call. Could be 20 to 30 minutes or even more. And in the discovery, the name of the game is clarity, right? You're trying to understand where they're at, where they want to go, and how the heck can my product or service possibly help them get there. So you ask questions, right? What questions are you asking becomes the most important thing. You don't want to ask them generic bullshit, typical questions, right? You want to ask, like, thought-provoking questions. You want to get their commitment along the way, right? You want to identify those things. And in discovery, you're basically now, during this phase, your goal is to get them to trust you. So you're building trust by asking the right questions and powerful questions, because when you ask good questions, they get a sense of, this person understands me. Man, they're asking good questions. These aren't the typical questions I get asked. So that's the discovery phase of the call. Build that trust so that when you get, and you've determined now, hey, I could help this person. They are a fit for my product or service, right? We don't want to just take everyone to the finish line and slam something down their throat if it's not what they want to do. But out of experience, 95% of people pulling up on the call, they've already accepted that this is what they want to do. That's why they booked the fucking call, So, excuse my French. But that's why they booked the call, because they have some interest, right? But of course, they get scared. Fear kicks in. The mind starts triggering you, all of that stuff. But my point is, when you get into that close phase of the call and you've determined you can help this person, your goal in that third phase of the call is now to get this person to believe you. But Josh, you can't get them to believe you if they don't trust you, and you can't get them to trust you if they don't like you. So all of those things need to be in alignment there for you to get the sale. Now, let me get into it a little bit deeper, because you're going to tell me probably like, Mike, well, what if I had a perfect intro, and what if I had a perfect discovery, and I weeded out all the objections? And that, I know that's the goal of the discovery, is to weed out as much of the objections so that when you do get to the close phase of the call, that there are no objections. They're just ready. Hate to tell you, after taking 10,000 plus calls myself and having helped others take tens of thousands of calls, it ain't that easy, right? Even if you have a perfect discovery, even if you have a perfect introduction, you're going to get to the phase of the call where you drop that price, that 5,000, that 10,000, that 15,000, and all of a sudden it's sticker shock. Oh my gosh, like, I wanted to do it, but I didn't think it was going to cost that much. So now you have a whole nother layer you're going to have to start working through. Most people are not going to be ready to pull out their credit card and give you. So when they are, that's called a laydown, So it's like, you had someone who like, oh yeah, all right, cool. How do we start? That happens in 1 in every 15, 20 calls, right? Those are the laydowns, and everyone gets lucky with some of those guys. And those are people that are decisive. They know what they want. They make a decision. I'm here to tell you, that's not most people, okay? That's not most people. Most people need help making a decision because they can't decide for themselves. They can't decide what the heck they even want to eat today. let alone decide if they're ready to purchase a $5,000 to $10,000 program, right? So this is where the advisor, the life coach in you needs to bust out and understand, what is it? Do they want to do it? Can they afford it? Can they not afford it? Can they afford it and they just don't want to spend the money? They really just don't have the money? What is it? Like, what is the thing, right? And the only way you're going to be able to really identify that now is not being salesy. And again, it goes back to asking great questions. And if you're not asking great questions, and you're just making statements and telling, like, that's not selling, right? You got to ask questions and get clarity. You need more clarity now. You want to identify, like, dude, money aside, is this even something you want to do? Like, don't bullshit me. Don't tell me yes just because that's what you think I want to hear. Give me the honest answer, Josh. Like, money aside, like, would you do this today? Oh, 100%. Okay, great. So, like, you want to do this. You're serious about this. Oh, absolutely, dude. Okay, cool. Like, what would hold you back from doing it, right? Oh, it's, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, now I got to work through these layers. Most of the time, again, 95% of the time, it's the money. It's solving for the money. It's not that they don't want to do it. It's not that they're not ready. It's that it's a lot of money or they can't afford it. So now you got to identify which one of those is it. Is it really they have the money and they're just hesitant to give it to you, which is where they need confidence from you now and belief, right? Or is it like, dude, I have some of it, or I could piece it together, or I just don't have it. And maybe we got to talk about some creative financing solutions from there, right? And that could look like a buy now, pay later solution or a credit card or whatever, right? But you want to identify, can they afford the program or not? And just asking that one question at the end is very powerful because you're going to get answers you never thought you would. And most people are, as a salesperson, they're scared to ask these type of questions. They think like, oh my gosh, like da-da-da-da. You're just in your head, dude. Again, if you've been liked and you build trust and now you're trying to get them to believe you, like you have the rapport, you have to have authentic, honest conversations. And people know whether you're there and you only give a shit about getting commission or you give a shit about helping them, right? Intention matters. What type of intention are you showing up with? That's going to make the difference, man, in your calls. People can feel that. There's instinct, right? People are not stupid. Some people are, but most people aren't, right? So instinct goes a long way, man. But like how you talk and how you show them you care about them and they feel that from you will, from my experience, allow you to get the sale, work through the challenges, whether it's financial or whatever. But again, if you've determined they want to do it, money aside, they want to do it, right? It's just identifying like, dude, can we afford it? And, what does that look like? Are you just scared? You don't think it's going to work out? You got to help them work through some mindset stuff, man, because they are where they are because of how they think. And unless they make a change and do something different, they're going to stay where they are. It's just getting them to understand that concept. And most people already know that in their head. So it's just having the conversation, right? Everyone's heard that same thing. And then from there, again, if they don't truly have the money and they are like really broke or really in a bad way, we never sell in our agency anyone that like, well, I'll ask people like, is this going to take food off the table? Like, just be 100% honest with me. If this is going to take food off the table, let's get off this call right now. Most of the time, it doesn't. 95% of the time, people say, no, it won't take food off the table for me. So is it just stretching you out? Yeah, dude, it's just stretching me out. It's going to put me in a tougher spot. Well, dude, are you willing to go and put yourself in a more tougher spot to get to where you want to go? Do you understand that getting to where you want to go is going to have challenges along the way? You're going to have struggles. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. You don't want to give people false expectations because when they get in the program, they think they're not going to have to do freaking anything to get to where they want to go. You want to have the hard conversations now and let them know it's going to take work. It's going to take time. This isn't no get rich quick scheme. Are you going to show up? Because if you're willing to show up, we're going to show up for you. We're going to do whatever it takes to help you get to where you want to go. But you have to be committed first. Are you committed to yourself, Josh? Are you committed to the goals you shared with me earlier? And put the sale aside, Josh. We're just talking friend to friend. Dude, you could be honest with me. Be like, you're not going to say anything that hurts me or offends my feelings. And if it's a no, you don't want to do it, just tell me no. Dude, I've dropped that line hundreds of times and no one has ever told me no. Everyone seems to want to do it. But again, it goes back to their mind and all of the limiting beliefs and thoughts and everything. But that's why they're on the call, dude, because if they didn't have that stuff, they'd be out there doing shit already, right? So that's what salespeople need to understand, man, is your job is to help get people over the line. And it doesn't have to be pressury. It doesn't have to be salesy. It doesn't have to be commission, Brett. It's just being honest with people, man. And honest to God, Josh, the best salespersons in our sales agency and across anywhere are the people that have the ability and the confidence to be honest with love, not being a dick, not like confrontational, calling people out with love. As their friend, as their trusted advisor, are you willing to have these raw conversations? Because if you are, you'll be a freaking master closer, dude. That's closing in my experience. That took me 10 years to figure out. I just boxed it up in a few minutes, but obviously there's a lot more to that. But that's, to me, it's closing summed up.
Mike, that was bullshit. Let me show you how it's done. Hey, what's your name? Mike. Hey, buddy. Thanks for getting on the call. How you doing today?
Fantastic. I don't know if I could be better.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. So, Mike, you're here because you want coaching. You want to make more money this year, bud?
You know, there's no doubt about it.
Boom! You want to be sexier for the ladies, bud?
Every day.
Boom! You want to be sexier for yourself too, bud?
Come on, you already know, baby.
Boom! Okay, $20,000, cash, card, credit, check. How you want to pay? Crypto?
Why don't we do a check just so I could call and void it after?
Make sure it's listed as your grandma. Write to me, okay? I like her. I know her. Give me an objection, Mike. Come on, give me an objection.
Man. No, man, I really like it, but, you know, I really like it, but I just want to think about it.
Think? You think your brain's big enough to make that decision on your own? That's why we're here today, buddy, so I can make it for you. Come on. Cash, credit card, or crypto? What do you want to do?
That's awesome. But this is the reality is there's people out there like that. You know, there's still people out there that are doing what you're doing. And believe it or not, those people are somehow, some way still making a living, just not the living they want to make, right? You could maybe get away making a couple $1,000, few $1,000 that way, but you're not going to get into the multiple six-figure range, right? Unless you become that person we talked about.
And this is something I enjoyed that too much. Maybe that's my new shtick now. Yes. I think this is so true that it goes across so many different fields. By the way, everything that you shared a minute ago was actually freaking gold. Obviously, I was joking when I said it was BS. No, that was like an excellent high level training on sales. So thank you for that. But it's so true that you can really what's the word for this? Like manhandle your way to make a few bucks, but you're not gonna manhandle your way into making ongoing long-term, wealth. Oops, just spilled my drink. Wealth kind of income, right? You need to build real skill sets, real communication skills. You need to become a trustworthy person, all the stuff that you just mentioned. And I think that's where a lot of these guys, it's unfortunate, right? Because the funny personalities, even the Andrew Tates of the world and guys like that. I know there's a whole group of them now. It's like Andrew Tate, this clavicular guy who's on cocaine all the time. There's like a few. Yeah, there's a few of them that are just all together, and it's like, I see where the appeal is for young guys. Like, a lot of these dudes, they say, I would even go as far to say as 80 to 90% of what they say is great. And then it's the last bit that I think truly leads young men, especially, astray. And it's just that, just pure lustful desire for money, for sex, for these kind of just basic, especially male instincts. And you follow and subscribe to these kind of guys. And even the ones that I mention on YouTube who are like, they jump on a cold call and they're like, go fuck yourself. Like, okay, maybe if you do 600 calls, just by the law of sheer numbers, you're going to get a few sales because there's some other guy who's like he's not really taking you seriously, but he's like, you know what? My day's been so weird. This is the least weird thing that's happened all day. I need what you have anyways. Sure, why not? Let's try it, right? Like there's going to be somebody who just buys, but is that a good long-term strategy to build real trust with long-term clientele, to build referral business, to be able to, no, obviously not. And so that's where I think, do you agree? Like that's where a lot of young guys especially get caught up in the glitz and glam and like the social media of it all, but then they kind of get off track in building those like real necessary skill sets for long-term success.
Oh, no, there's no doubt, man. There's no doubt, because it's like everything you see online is pretty much bullshit, man. I've been around the block. I've worked with the biggest names, the biggest influencers, you can imagine in the online space, and nothing is what it seems, bro. Everyone pumps up their numbers. Everyone says they're doing a lot more than they are. And so it sucks because it's portraying a false image of what, success looks like, and what is actually achievable out there for a regular person, for the everyday guy. And so they get caught up, man. And sometimes I get caught up. Like, that's why I'm not on content a lot. Like, I don't scroll a lot, because it gives you, there's a low level of anxiety that I get, as soon as I jump on there. Sometimes it's a mid level, and sometimes it becomes a high level. And sometimes I get in and I'm like, I got to get off this freaking thing, dude. And so like it's dangerous. It's a lot of it's fake. Dude, like the 1% of the 1% are like doing the things that they're talking about, and they're legitimate people, and you can kind of identify who those people are. Again, they come few and far in between, but yeah, it's wild. But I want to share something funny, because one time I called somebody to get him a refund because I couldn't get a hold of them, and I kept calling with different numbers, and I was like, "Hey, is this person?" And I've never had anyone tell me this, bro. He goes, because I'm like, "Hey, is this thing?" He's like, "Who's this? Burn in hell." And I was like, whoa. I was like, go burn. He was like, you go burn in hell. So I shared this with someone who's not religious in the organization, and she felt like, whoa, like that was an intense thing. I didn't think anything of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
She was more bothered by it than I was, and she's not even religious,
It's funny the things people will tell you with no provocation.
He apologized later. He's like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. He was probably having a bad day, dude. And that's the other thing. People have bad days, you just got to understand that.
Early on, I don't know if you did the same thing, but when I first got into, running my own meetings and having my own calendar, and I couldn't even believe that people weren't showing up, right? And they were no-showing me. And so in the beginning, I was like, I don't know if it was arrogance or what it was, because I thought like, how dare you waste my time, was kind of my attitude. By the way, me being a nobody, nothing kind of MLM sales guy, like that's where I was in the beginning too. And it was like, I remember I sent a couple messages where I was like, hey, and so passive aggressive, which is the worst. I was like, hey, so I guess maybe you forgot about our meeting, but I take it you're just not really serious about building your future anymore. So let me know what happened. Like, I swear to God, I sent too many of those messages. And
wow.
Let's just say most of them didn't get a response eventually. And a couple of them did. Hey, my dad's in the hospital. Hey, my grandma just died today. And it took it took only one of those for me to be like, oh shit, okay. I should have a little bit of empathy for people that something might have actually happened. And so now I very much take the approach of that first reschedule. It's like, but I'm also looking for a couple things, right? It's like, I will say, hey, I hope everything's all right. Doesn't necessarily seem in character for you to just completely ghost me. So let me know what happened. Here's my reschedule link if you still wanted to connect, right? Something like that. It's acknowledging something might happen. I'm even acknowledging that this doesn't seem in character for you. And almost every time it's, yes, actually something happened. I'm so sorry. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My calendar didn't, add the invite. These things happen. It's happened to me. But I'm also looking for, how are they responding to this? Is there any remorse? Is there any, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to waste your time? Is there, like, are they acknowledging that? Because that also shows me where they're at, like personality-wise and character-wise, right?
100%.
Do you take a similar approach with like no-shows and reschedules?
Absolutely, dude. You can get an idea if they're serious or not by how they communicate and respond to you, right? So
yeah,
to your point exactly, like looking out for those little cues is going to help you identify that. Every now and then again, you might miss one or two and someone's just having whatever, like that's normal. But a person who is really interested is going to communicate a specific type of way. And yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. Let's go through for a couple minutes here. like when we can take this slow. It doesn't have to be like a high pressure, like we can even break it down as we're going. But I like the idea of us kind of slowly breaking down one primary objection. Let's say I need to think about it. And then, like you mentioned earlier, it's usually I need to think about it is not the objection, right? It could be finances. It could be they're nervous because they've made other bad decisions that got burned. It could be, there's so many reasons it could be. So are you down to kind of slowly break this down, this kind of objection, and we can go back and forth. I'll make stuff up as we go, but we can just take it slow. And even if you want to like pause and comment on something, if there's a teaching moment, because I think even just that, even if we do it for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, I think that alone would be a super helpful like mini sales training. And by the way, if you're watching this podcast is very much an extension, or I should say my new school community is kind of an extension of this podcast. And so this conversation with Mike, we actually had a super specific like sales training that, why am I blurry now? There we go. That Mike did for me. And I appreciate this, by the way, that you came in and taught a lesson on sales in my community. But this moment right here, I'm going to kind of clip this and put it in school as well, because I think it's going to be a good teaching moment. So if y'all want to actually become a closer, become a setter, become, an entrepreneur in general, Mike, you might like this. I had a conversation last night with a cool woman, retired WNBA player, now runs an awesome coaching business. And we're kind of figuring some stuff out where I might come in and help her with some processes with setting and triage and scripts and some different stuff like that, closing. But she was saying, well, Josh, like I personally, and a lot of my friends that are running similar businesses, we kind of always need closers and setters and triagers. And as we scale, we're going to need to hire more of those people. And we want to hire good, vetted people, not really waste our time in that process. So part of my goal on school is I want to build up these young entrepreneurs that are like, they need to make some money now, and they need to build up those skills. Like we said, you worked with Bedros for 5 years. You built up that skill set. I kind of want to be the Bedros to these people in that sense, where if you come through my school, you go through my courses, my education, do some one-on-one coaching with me, the goal is I want to guarantee people job interviews for setting, closing, triaging. And obviously I can pre-assess them and pre-interview them. And so the woman that I was talking to, she was saying like she'd love to set up some kind of a pipeline like that where I can essentially send her closers and setters. And so I'm working on other partnerships too. I know we'll probably talk in the near future as well with OneCall Closers, right? Maybe we can figure out something together as well. And that's kind of like, that's what I want to do, right? I want to provide people real world value, not just a bunch of fluff. And that's part of the reason I dress so silly sometimes like this, because I want to almost call the humor out for some of the silly social media stuff. Like you said, 1% of these people maybe are really making the money that they're saying they're making and all that. So how do we break through the BS? How do we actually get to what, really making money, really building tangible skill sets, connecting people in the real world to do awesome things, and ultimately set everyone's life up for success? So, sorry, long drawn out promo there for my own thing. But with that being said, okay, so let's say we're on what's a typical offer you've done a lot of, like coaching offers,
Real estate offers,
coaching
offers.
Okay, so let's do like well, I guess maybe because I'm more familiar with it and kind of the objections that could come from it. Let's do a coaching offer, some kind of like you potentially are trying to sell me on coming into my business to train up my sales team and train up my sales team so we can get better, make more sales, have better percentages. And so let's say I'm a business owner, right? So I'm a small business owner and I have like 3 closers, a couple setters, so think just small business. We're starting to grow, but I know I need to take it to that next level. So we're on the call. We've gone through all the discovery. We've gone through everything. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I mean, Mike, I like what you're saying. I saw some of your guys' social media. I think this could probably work for us, but man, I just, I got to think on it. I just like to take some time and sleep on these decisions. Yeah, man, I just got to think about it.
I have to preface it this because I think this is important before I answer that.
Yeah.
I think in sales, a lot of things could work, no matter how you slice it and dice it. So it's not a specific thing you say. It's going back to the energy you're giving off, how you're saying it. Sales is not what you say, but how you say it.
Right.
Excuse me. So going back to that intention, I have to preface it with this, okay? So there's no one-liner I'm going to give you. There's not one thing I'm going to say. There's going to be some Joe Schmo critiquing what I say out there, and I would do it this way and that way. So everything works if you put it to work and you have the right intention, and the tonality behind it is what I'm trying to say. So I want to preface it with that. So what you just said is, you want to, can you just like run it back?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, man. This all makes sense. I think we need some help for sure. I just got to think about it. I usually like to take a few days and, process. And so, yeah, I'll get back to you.
Cool. Yeah, dude, Josh, totally get it, man. Like every single person I talk to has to put in some thought into it, right? So I'd love to kind of understand from you, like, what piece of information did I share with you earlier, or didn't I share with you earlier? Did or did not share with you earlier? That's causing a little bit of, hesitation maybe, and, putting you in a spot where you want to put some time to think about it.
No, I mean, listen, dude, I like you. I think, we got some good energy. I think you guys, it seems like you guys do good work. I just, I'm always hesitant about dropping anything more than $500, and I know we talked about, potentially payment plans or whatever, but, yeah, I've tried some other things. I've worked with some other guys. I follow some guys on social media. I'm hesitant, I just got to think about it.
Yeah, I'm curious. So I'm curious, like when you say that, you're a little bit hesitant, like what process are you going to go through to make that decision? Like, are you looking to run some numbers, or are you just trying to see if you can visualize like plugging this into your business? What does that look like?
I mean, like, maybe just, I'm trying to think of an actual thing that I've been told before. Like, I probably just want to maybe go look at some of your clients that you've worked with. Maybe if you can like give me like a list that I could, maybe is there people I could contact, or like I could maybe reach out to them on LinkedIn, just to, not that I don't believe you. I get that all the time. Not that I don't believe you, but I just like to do my own due diligence. That's all.
Yeah, no, I totally get it, dude. And you probably saw there was dozens of testimonials leading up to this call. There's probably a reason you decided to book the call, right? It's because you saw the testimonials, you saw all the results we've been able to provide. And that's probably why we're here now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. You guys have some good Google reviews, and on your website I saw, and I know you got a podcast and you got some cool guests. Yeah, I just, yeah, man, I don't know. It's just, it's a lot of money. It's not that I can't afford it, but it's just, yeah, I just want to make sure that this is actually going to give me the return that I'm hoping to get,
Yeah, and I'm glad you said it's a lot of money. I think that's I'm really happy you said that. And I totally get, like, dude, you need to be sure. You need to be sure. Like, you need to look at this from another angle. And so you mentioned earlier that the number one issue right now inside of your organization is your closers don't have any type of framework. They don't have any system. And we talked about earlier that it's costing you thousands of dollars a week, right? And a ton of time that you could be saving and putting into other things to work on the business rather than in the business. So, like, let's have a heart to heart, man. Like, if you thought about it for another week, and that's another week of thousands of dollars of loss of revenue, is there anything that we can uncover right now that would make you feel uncomfortable, that would make you feel comfortable to get this started today?
I mean, if I'm being honest, like, I'm doing I'm kind of jumping into a lot of the sales calls to help close them out and finish them off. And if I could take that time and focus it on, new client acquisition, for example, at least we'd have more leads in the door, maybe more chance to close because there's more volume. Because I'm right now giving probably 30% of my time just jumping into my closers' calls to really kind of push it over the line. Because I'm the guy, right? I'm the owner.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, dude. And we talked about your closing ratios right now for the company is about 15%. I'm telling you confidently, we can get you to 30%, right? We got clients, we're getting 30 to 50% on the lower conservative than that. We're going to get you to 30%. Let me ask you, Josh, like, what would going from 15%, not having to take calls, and having your team closing at 30% do for you and your business?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, if we could do that, especially if I could allocate more of my time to client acquisition, we'd have more people coming in the door, a higher closing rate. I mean, frankly, that would obviously offset the cost of this. I just, it just comes down to...
Exactly. So what would be the cost of inaction at this point? Are you willing to stay where you're at, or are you willing to go to where you want to go and get the help?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I did
And I'm
jump on
not
the
here
call
to
for a
sell you,
reason.
dude. I'm not here to try to convince you to do this. At the end of the day, like, we have proven results. We've done this for a lot of people just like yourself. And I'm 110% confident we can get you there in a relatively quick amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, you're selling me on it, dude, for sure. But the last question, I guess, and I know this is a hard thing to ask, but do you have any guarantees?
The good old guarantees. Well, I could guarantee, dude, I'm going to give you everything that you need in order for you to be successful. The one thing that I can't guarantee is how you are going to have the team implement it. So I guess I'll turn that back to you. Can you give me a guarantee that you're going to actually instill the systems and the processes and actually implement everything that I'm telling you to do? Because if you are, then we're going to get you to where you want to go. But I'll ask you that question. Like, are you willing to do that?
Side note, I like how you flipped it back. That was good. Yeah, I guess, yeah, of course, man. It's my business, right? It's my baby. So anything that I can do that will, guarantee more results or a better path forward, of course. I just, yeah, I mean,
And for sure, dude, I totally get it. So do you think it'd be fair to say that you just don't know what you don't know? There's a little bit of uncertainty right now, and it's obviously a big decision, but it's going to change the entire course of your business. And so would you agree with me that maybe there's a little bit of fear and hesitation just because it's a little bit of the unknown for you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty much what it is. Like I mentioned, I've tried some other programs in the past, or I've bought some pre-made courses, and it didn't seem to really move the needle,
Yeah, for sure. At a time like this, also what I would do if someone is really like about the testimonials and the results, I would just screen share and put it all up and show them everything and rebuild that
Right.
confidence and just show them X, Y, and Z, right? So when you're on a call, and especially on a Zoom, if you're not in person, like, you have tools at your disposal, right? So like, you have the ability to share screen and show different things. But at the end of the day, Josh, if what you're telling me, dude, is just you have a little bit of fear and uncertainty. Look, at the end of the day, the program does have a 30-day money-back guarantee, but I don't want to focus on the 30-day money-back guarantee, dude. I want to focus on, are you going to have the guarantee to instill this in your system? Because if you are, it's going to change the course of your business, right? And now this is the part you got to remind them of why they're on the call. What are all the challenges? Dude, you're taking sales calls, right? You're having to continuously pour into the team. You're having to do X, Y, and Z. You're not consistent with your sales numbers. Are you serious about changing that, or do you want to stay there? Is really what we're trying to tackle. And if he's really serious, right, and that person is really serious about making that change, it's just a matter of basically getting them over that fear, over that hump, right? Using empathy, of course. Empathy is going to be big. Putting yourself in their shoes, having the right tonality, having the right energy and everything like that. All of that stuff matters, right? So again, there's not one thing I'm going to say or one thing I'm going to do or one line I'm going to have. It's just a back and forth. But for me, like, we can go back and forth, for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes before I get the close. It just depends till I really identify what that thing is. And again, like, dude, I haven't been on sales calls for like years. So like, it's not like I'm, I help other people on different types of sales calls, but I also not take sales calls all the time, right? So it's like, I don't there's something about being in flow. And once you're in flow of just taking sales calls and that's the only thing that you're focused on all day, like, you're going to tap into that information because you're doing it all day, every day type of a thing.
Of course.
Right? So, but it's basically, you just need to have the empathy, understand like, what are their challenges, remind them of what the ROI is going to be, right? Most importantly, like, what this is going to return you on the business and what type of challenges and problems it's causing in your business now. And like, are you serious about getting away from that and scaling and going to that? Because if you are, dude, like 100%, like, we can help you do that. I'm not here to pressure you. I'm not here to like close you just to get a sale type of a thing. I'm 100% confident we can get you to where you want to go. At the end of the day, like, you have to make the decision. You ready to rock, right? That would be my line, is like, dude, you ready to freaking get this rocking?
You got me. Good job. No, that's great points for sure. And you're right. Absolutely. That's why I always tell people, like, when you get into something, you got to do it every day and get good fast. My first job, I think I mentioned this before on the podcast. My first job was at Bath and Body Works, and I was the only guy, and it's the only job I ever had where I smelled better after my shift. That being said, they gave me like a shift a week, and it was the summer after high school, and I was like, okay, like, give me more shifts. Like, I want to make money. I got lots of time, and so because I only had one shift every week, I would do something different on every shift. I would do some packaging in the back, or what's it called, inventory. And then the next shift I would do cash. But then the next shift I would do cash, but I'd get a return request. And they'd be like, hey, you've been working here for almost a month. How come you don't know how to do returns? I'm like, this is the first return I've ever got because you only give me one shift a week. And then I don't get another return request for another few weeks. And they're like, you don't know how to do returns yet? You've been here for 2 months. I'm like, I've only ever done 2 returns and I don't know how to use a POS system. I've never used it before. So, and Bath & Body Works was like new sales and new deals every day. And you had to type in a lot of them manually back then. So it was like, I was always like, I just never got to learn because I never had enough consistency. And same thing with sales. Like I remember I had an HVAC sales job where the first 2 weeks were just in classroom grilling, training. I memorized like an hour worth of talking, like literally memorized like a script that was an hour long from the kitchen table down to the furnace, and which things to point at, which things to talk about, and which pipes and which, oh, you see how this is discolored and that's because XYZ. And so I was just grilled and trained. And then as soon as on that second week, they were like, yeah, you're ready to go. I'm like, no, I'm not ready. They're like, come on, go. We got a call. This is an easy one. Go get it. And I sold like, I think it was 18 grand in the house on the spot, one call or one house show, or whatever you want to call it. So it was a one call close. And I was like, oh, snap. And then my manager told me afterwards, he's like, you just made 2 grand. I was like, I made 2 grand in the last hour and a half. And in my first 2.5 months at that job, I sold $400,000 in HVAC. So that was
You
nice.
show me a paycheck. What does he say? You show me a paycheck stuff for $70,000. I quit my job right now and don't work for you.
I love it, dude. So, okay, actually, that's a good note. I have a question for you in a minute. I know we got to wrap up because you got a big meeting to get to. I appreciate your time, dude. I have one big question for you. So everybody, don't log out yet. But before we get there, Mike, tell everybody where they can find you, support you, check out the podcast, whatever you want to promo for the next couple minutes. Stage is yours.
Dude, I'll just keep it super simple. You can find me mostly on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I might get on there later, but at Mike Sadikian, MikeSadikian. And then also, if you are interested in any type of like mortgage, if you need a loan or something like that, at Fund with Mike, FUND with Mike on Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel for the mortgage side of things as well. But yeah, super simple.
I love it, dude. And if you message Mike and use code Josh10, you'll get a high five with 2 hands. That's what you'll get. You'll get 10 fingers high five. No, who knows? I don't know. Maybe Mike tells me that he's going to offer something special to my audience over time. We'll see. Check the description. Maybe there's something. Who knows? But otherwise, yeah, cool, man. And by the way, when Mike does get TikTok, it'll probably be mostly dancing. I'll link it below. And we can do some collab dances on there. We can do the trends.
Let's do
I'm
it.
kidding.
Let's do it.
So the last question I have for you, and this could be the hardest thing we've asked. We've talked about this whole conversation. Best entrepreneur movie, from The Pursuit of Happiness to The Wolf of Wall Street to whatever, Moneyball, all the different options. The Founder.
See, I was expecting you to say best sales movie, but that the entrepreneur category opens up so many other movies, right?
And that's why I was thinking keep it kind of broad, but if you're thinking more of a salesy one, we could do that too.
I like Boiler Room.
Okay.
Boiler Room's a good one.
Is that the one with Alec
Wolf of Wall
Baldwin?
Street. Yes.
Okay, I've seen a bit of it. I haven't seen the whole thing yet,
that's
though.
I think that's Glengarry Glen Ross.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Okay.
Where it's got Al Pacino, Alec Baldwin, Kevin Spacey. Boiler Room is with what's his name? He was just on Joe Rogan's podcast last week.
Oh, I think I know who you mean.
God, what the hell? I'm blanking out. Boiler Room. Hold on. What's his name, dude? It's driving me nuts now.
Oh, Vin Diesel?
No, I'm thinking of Ben Affleck, bro. Ben Affleck has one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie of my life in the conference room. So if you guys are interested, go on YouTube and type in Ben Affleck, Boiler Room, conference room. It's like a 5-minute scene, probably one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in my entire freaking life, dude. Couldn't recommend it enough. Yeah, super. I like Boiler Room a lot.
Okay.
Wolf of Wall
And
Street.
if you want to see
is
Ben
another movie.
Affleck doing the worst performance of a sales of your life, go watch the movie Air, like the Air Jordan movie. Have you seen that one? Where he kind
I have not. No.
Well, long story short, I won't spoil it, but it's not, he's not a bad performer. It's just the way the scene actually was in real life, I guess, that his character like kind of botched the actual sales pitch to Michael Jordan. So it's just funny.
I'm going to drop the link for that YouTube if you want to include it. It's literally a 5-minute clip, and on YouTube, it's called The Boiler Room Ben Affleck Speech.
Sorry, man. That's my mistake. Shit, I'm so sorry. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Fucking dumbass.
Get the fuck out of here.
What?
Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Just pick your ass up out of that Italian leather chair and get the fuck out of this room right now. Come on, let's go, Schlepprock. Out. That's it. We expect everyone here to treat their coworkers with a certain level of respect.
Okay.
Highly recommend you guys check that out if you're into sales. It's great. Like the way he acts and the way he just, oh man, so good.
I'll have to go watch that movie.
I gotta
Actually,
watch that before getting on my meeting right now. Actually,
yeah, do it. Hype yourself up. I love it, dude. Cool. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate your time in my school. Appreciate your time on your podcast, now on my podcast. I'm sure we got plenty of things to do together still in the near future. So
Absolutely.
Everybody, go support Mike, follow his stuff, and ultimately make some money, people. Okay,
come on. You got to bring out the alter ego, bro. There's Vlad right there, and that's you right there.
All right.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me
I'll
on.
see you guys. Oh, hold on now. I'll see you guys in the next. I have to put a blur around there. I'll see you guys in the next one.
There you go.